let's kick things off this morning with some red-black Pyromancer. Young Pyromancer, a card that was added via Jumpstart to the format, and then also got a lot of really excellent tools with the addition of Amonkhet Remastered. This really feels like a real Eternal format deck in that not only is it a combination of cards that were never standard legal together, so the kind of things that it's doing are very unique play patterns, kind of too historic, that aren't just a port from an old standard format. But also, if you just look at the curve of this deck, just the volume of 1-mana spells present really makes the deck feel different than a lot of Magic decks feel today on average. And a lot of good standard decks especially, it's usually optimal just like play your most expensive card most turns. And in a deck like this, where you have a bunch of 1 and 2 mana spells for the most part, it's not simply playing your best card, it's figuring out the permutations or combinations of your best cards to play each turn optimally. So when you have more cheap effects like this, you have more sequencing decisions game to game, and those sequencing decisions often start as early as the first turn when you're presented with, okay, well, I'm going to play 1/1-mana spell turn 1 and 2 1-mana spells turn 2. What order am I going to sequence those 3 spells in? Now, details on this list. There are tons of ways to build this archetype. You can see I've got a number of 2-ofs in here, and even some 3-ofs of good cards, and a cheeky 1-of Call the Death Dwellers. I don't have a high confidence level that my numbers of things are ideal here. I think the number of games that you're going to have to play to have a high confidence in this archetype, I think, is really high, and I think I certainly don't have that yet. And honestly, I'd be surprised if anybody has enough games under their belt in this format to have that experience yet. One of my buddies, for example, has been working on a variation of this that cuts Stitcher Supplier and like plays Knight of the Ebon Legion is a little bit less graveyard focused and more aggressive, and I think that could potentially be reasonable as well. But there's just tons of things, and there's like isn't a substitute for experience in Magic, and people seem to get games in and figure out what's optimal. So we're gonna start here. We played this deck once before on stream. The big thing I'm trying today is when I moused over here a couple of times, this is Cut to Ribbons. It's an Aftermath card out of Amonkhet block. So the front half here is just 2 mana, deal 4 to something. And then Ribbons, the Aftermath card. Aftermath cards you can cast from your graveyard. So Ribbons is basically just a fireball. It lets us close out the game. And we don't have to draw Ribbons, right? Because we have things like Stitcher Supplier in this build that mill it over. So we can just like have Stitcher Supplier find us a fireball. Yeah, Maddie, I know you've been out of the game for a little bit, but I genuinely think this deck is good, and I think you'd like it. It gives me big vibes of when Mardu Pyromancer was competitive in Modern, and more importantly, it's like Mardu Pyromancer that doesn't need to cheese people with Blood Moon to be competitive, which is really refreshing. God bless, Seth. Stay safe out there. Wear a mask. If I was trying to tune this for the mirror, probably more removal in the main. Like, the addition of cuts are likely very good. I'd probably play all the claims in the main deck. Was Claim Fame a big player when it was standard legal? Not really, because decks full of creatures that are that low on the curve tend to not be competitive in standard, but they're often competitive in bigger formats like this. Alright, so we're just taking... Collected Company. Sure. Yeah, Lingering Souls would be sweet. Nah, I think it's almost always wrong to, like, try and take their mana dork with your discard spell. You should basically always just take the card that kills you. Don't be cheeky and take the bad card. I think this opponent's archetype is likely, if not, it's one of, if not the best archetypes in Historic currently. You know, we don't have a ton of public data on the format. There haven't been a ton of tournaments as of yet, but I think this archetype checks all the boxes you want to check in a format like this. My plan of drawing some number of spells with this hand is not working out so far. We've drawn actual 0 spells. Yep, just 3 lands in a row. They had 2 Woe Striders in their hand, Chef says, so I think that would not be optimal. By taking the Collected Company with the first Thoughtseize, I give my opponent an opportunity to draw a second Collected Company that I can then take. We're just dead, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10... Yeah, we're dead. Alright, so what do I want to do here? I definitely want my Claim the Firstborns. Archfiend Vessel sounds good. I think I cut Priest of the Forgotten Gods in this matchup. I think I have enough things to sack their stuff to claim the Firstborn. Actually, do I? Because I have Tower and Village Rites only. Maybe that's not quite enough. I'm going to trim a couple of Priests. I'm not going to trim all of them. I wonder if this is a Thoughtseize out matchup. It could just be a Thoughtseize out matchup. Try something like this. Let's try this. Yeah, it definitely does that right now. That's why Wizards hides as much data as they possibly can. Because hiding information helps the format from being solved. Because rather than ensuring their solved formats are good, they would rather try and make sure they just don't get solved to begin with. I boarded in 5 ways to kill Citadel, so I think I would rather just have cards that play to the board rather than Thoughtseize. The life loss from Thoughtseize is also exceedingly relevant against this deck, as you saw with what's it called last turn. Alright, turn 3 attack you for 7 in the air. It's not bad. I'll offer the trade with the Pyromancer here too, just try and run them down. No Scroll Bug Solaire, probably. Squid, to answer your question about God Pharaoh's Gift, probably. It's a pretty unique style of deck that I think people like playing, so I think putting it up there is probably a decent choice. What card created the big token? That is from Archfiend's Vessel. It's one of the ways we get aggressive with this archetype. So we're definitely the beatdown here. Hammering my opponent's life total. Hammering my opponent's life total for when they eventually get Citadel is something that we definitely want to be doing. So I'm being as aggressive as possible here, so that way if they do find Citadel, they can't, they won't have as much life to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and Village Rites Stitcher Supplier here. Let's see what we get. And I think that those are definitely, in games like that, so talking about, you know, some of the aggressive draws possible, I definitely think we're the beatdown in this matchup. And that's one of the reasons why I've talked about how I'm not confident on a lot of the details in this archetype, but I do feel like Archfiend's Vessel is a card that you definitely want to be playing. Because of games like that one you just saw there, Archfiend's Vessel is our way to be really aggressive in some of these matchups. Yeah, we like made a 5/5 on turn 3 and attacked for 7 with it. Vessel seems terrible. Imagine jumping through hoops for a token that just gets bounced by Teferi. Teferi, you say? Teferi, all I have to say to Teferi? He's in pieces, chat. Pieces. We just got Leyline of the Voided. Well. That's a Leyline of the Void. KCS, thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I'm pretty sure we just priest here, right? I could Abrade this. They did mulligan a ton to get to the Leyline. You're not wrong. So yeah, we just slaughtered them, right? Thanks for the magic card. So target you. Sack these two. Shoot this. They lose this. Listen, chat, they played a sideboard card, okay? They deserve what they have coming to them. They had their Leyline, chat. They had their Leyline. How do they show Citadel? Like that? If you put it on the stack and it asks you to pay the mana and then concede while it's on the stack asking you to pay mana, it reveals it like that. Alright, chat. We're gonna draw some lands, we're gonna mill some Archfiend vessels, and we're gonna make some 5/5s with this call. God bless America. Is there anything more peak Magic than that series of plays? Just like mulligan to 5, looking at 3 1-landers, play Stitcher Supplier, mill 3 lands. Just good golly. I have 7 power off 1 land at least to go. This is why I uninstalled Magic. It's definitely... Resource variance is, it's something. It's something. I'm not quite sure. I can't quite put my finger on what just yet, but it's definitely something. Alright, I'm going to cast this Priest, and then I'm going to lose my board to an Ugin downtick next turn. More in dirty digits. I fundamentally disagree that... What's the best way to put it? For a long time, Cannon Gear, thank you for the tip. I appreciate the support. For a long time, I was definitely in the camp of, I like the deck building decisions that resources add to Magic. But honestly, as I get older and as I play more Magic, the actual decisions that you make when building mana bases are, like, actually pretty minimal. Like, once you understand, like, a base set of heuristics, like, there aren't that many decisions that go into building mana bases. There's, like, a core set of, these are things you need to do to be optimal. Well, they're dead if I draw a red land, right? Or almost. They'll have to chump block their own thing. Okay, so you're saying there's a chance. Take a chance on me. Do. I think we're about to get Ulamog, though. I think we're about to get Ulamog. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we're definitely about to get Ulamog. For Naya tokens and historic. Sounds good, Kenan. Oh, yeah. Stone Rain me, daddy. You know just how I like it. Stone Rain me. Oh, yeah. We tried, right? You can't say the deck didn't try. Got incredibly unlucky and still, like, almost played a game. I don't know that I could really ask for more than that. I think I want the claims. Cut to ribbon seems a little... Someone was asking if the scroll bug was fixed. It's not. You can see my cards through the background for whatever reason. It's a feature, I'm sure. I think that's it. Extra claim, extra Kroxa. Take these cuts out. Seems reasonable. See, it's great. Sadistic. Thanks for the 30 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I was just removing someone's ability to comment on my YouTube channel because they were very upset that I would talk about things that happen in Magic that are bad. They said they only want to watch content where people only talk about the positive things that happen in Magic. They're not allowed to complain. Apparently, they're also too stupid to be able to change the channel, though, so I removed their ability to comment so that way, in case they can't help themselves again in the future. I think I'm just eating this. I think I'm just eating this. Oh, I should have waited to play my land, right? So I could have had this other Archfiend Vessel in play. It's a mistake. I mean, card games are pretty far and away from fascism as you can get, so I don't think that comparison's very apt. And you know what? If you're someone that only wants glowing positivity and you don't want any ounce of reality, that's fine. I'm sure there's people out there that can give that to you. But I've never professed to trying to do that, and I don't intend to. I think it's important to be able to be critical of the flaws while also praising the things that are good. Yeah, we need to kill this, You take their sweeper, kill this, I
must seek comfort in the land.
Recklessness and fear are the seeds of decay.
This is the unfortunate part. I'm not sure that I'm gonna be able to. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're 2 off of this. This is gonna get them another one. It's gonna fill their bin up for Uro. Does it help? My opponent's gonna have a 5/6 that blocks flyers here. And they drew a land, so we're guaranteed to get Ulamog next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're guaranteed to get Ulamog next turn. Super did. Well, I said this deck feels a lot like Mardu Pyromancer for Modern, and we just got Tron, so that about sounds right. It's about how that works out. Hey, their deck's a very, very typical ramp deck. Very, very typical ramp deck. Depressingly accurate, yep. Honestly, I think if you want to be a Rakdos Embercleave deck, Moz, you're better off just playing the Rakdos aggro deck on my site as opposed to playing this archetype. Which could be the case. It could be just better to be the more aggressive build that gets to lean into Embercleave on occasion. Put your Claim the Firstborn together and take their 5-drop? Yeah, exactly. With their powers combined. is ramp omnipresent? Like, I don't even know if that's true, right? And like, the ramp deck we just lost to, even if you want to say ramp is omnipresent, like the ramp deck we just lost to isn't the ramp deck that's omnipresent, right? If anything, I think this deck that we're playing has a lot of tools that make it pretty reasonable against Field of the Dead ramp, but like, that last opponent wasn't playing Field of the Dead ramp, right? Like, the Cavalier, Ugin, Ulamog ramp is much harder for my mid-range deck. Yeah, like, I think the last ramp deck we played against was, like, uniquely good against us, and it's definitely not the common type of ramp. Yeah, based on the results of, like, the Glandia Open, for instance, like, I haven't felt like the ramp decks are that impressive in this format. Like, they were the most played deck in the Open, and they had middling finishes overall, and past that small amount of statistical evidence, my anecdotal evidence on the ladder has not been that they're overbearing. Did Prime Sub lose their access to emotes? They did not, Slewy. So there were a couple of emotes that, I added a couple of emotes to the base level, and then I moved a couple up to tier 2. So maybe that's what you're thinking of. So a couple of emotes that were previously tier 1/prime/everyone emotes are now just tier 2. Because rather, I wanted to fit other things into tier 1, and rather than just losing those, I moved them to tier 2. I think ramp is just a style of deck that people like playing. I also, again, would discourage people from using anecdotal evidence for things that they should be using actual data for. So, like, saying ramp has a large metagame share when, like, we don't have good evidence of what has what metagame share is something I'd heavily discourage you from doing. How do I sack anything? I don't have anything in play that lets me sacrifice anything. I have nothing that lets me sacrifice anything currently. Thanks for being here for us. Looking forward to joining the Shillionaires, even only at 1.2x. Yes, I really wish Twitch hadn't adjusted that. I passed feedback along to them that they were stupid to adjust that in the way that they did, and they should put it back. They should have given tier 2s and tier 3s a bigger multiplier, not taken multiplier away. Why wouldn't they constitute a significant sample size? Show me the data. God damn it. I hate, like, I say there's not a significant sample size. If you think you have something else, instead of making me do the work, if you want to challenge my claim, the onus is not on me. The onus is on you, the person saying I am wrong, and saying, Jeff, here's a large sample size that disagrees with you, and then we can have a discussion. Don't make me do your homework, though. Are they dead? They're almost dead, right? Put them to 1. And again, like, talking about how these matchups play out, this is such a good example. Like, the people bitching about Field of the Dead, I just can't even put into words how stupid and uninformed their complaining is, because my experience with these decks is exactly this. Like, it's never Field of the Dead. It is almost always Ugin and Ulamog that take my mid-range deck or my control deck or my interactive deck and they crumple it up in a little ball and they spike it into the garbage can. Yeah, I'm going to take my draw steps to see before we die. We're very close. They have 2 blockers here. But like, these games are so easy when they don't... Yeah, or the Uro, right? The Uro gained them 3 life this game. Like, the game's so close, and then Ugin shows up and is just like, nah, brah. Game's not close. Get out of here. Yeah, I think that's a good assessment. I think Field of the Dead is the thing that ensures the ramp deck doesn't spend a bunch of time in garbage time, which is why it's what people complain about. Well-born Muse, thank you for the 11 months, the very generous tier 3 resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. How do I want to approach this matchup? I don't even know if I want Bedevil, because like that game showed, like even if I kill the Ugin has done its damage at that point. So I don't know that this is even useful, because like while it feels good from an emotional perspective to like Bedevil the Ugin after it wipes your board, most of the time you can't win the game anymore. I think I'd rather just have some extra discard spells here to like poke at their ramp and their Hour of Promises. Maybe I don't want the full 4 Claim the Firstborns. Let's try this. Field is what lets them get to their game enders. I'm gonna time you out because you weren't here for the ramp matchup we played before this, where they literally weren't playing Field of the Dead and we got slaughtered anyways, because they don't need Field of the Dead to get to there. The decks that these Field of the Dead decks prey upon are gonna get preyed upon by a different ramp deck if they ban Field of the Dead. It's just how this works. I think Field of the Dead gets an extra bad rap because it got banned in Pioneer, and I don't think it should have been banned in Pioneer either. But people like to assume that banned lists are made with good decisions consistently across Magic, and then make their conclusions from there, when on a fundamental level, the way a lot of the ban lists are managed in Magic is flawed and inconsistent in my opinion. Alright, what am I doing this turn? Gosh, I kind of want to go Supplier, Archfiend, activate Priest. And then this gives me 4 mana. So I can go Thoughtseize. Oh gosh, that's a Claim Fame now. Okay, am I Thoughtseizing now? No, now I'm probably just putting a thing into play, right? I'm just killing them. Oh, and I can still Thoughtseize, right? We got plenty of mana. Yeah, we can do both. Good call. He'll be covering Standard with me, Spookaloo. So Corey Baumeister is going to be covering the Open on the 19th next month. So if you're interested in playing in a freshly rotated Standard format, be sure to sign up for that. Sign-ups are open on Melee now. One thing too, by the way, because this is feedback that I've had from people that live on the left coast, the Opens are going to start an hour later for the Opens in September. Because the last couple of Opens that we've done finished so quickly, I felt that it would be fine to do that. they're going to be starting at 10 Central / 8 a.m. PST, as opposed to 9 Central / 7 a.m. PST. Ashiok, Ashiok means I can't play my companion. Any chance of a Hoots will be Runeterra in the future? When MTG Melee supports Runeterra, we will have a Hoots Runeterra tournament. Yeah, it's a good thing they had Field of the Dead to let him get to Ugin, chat. They definitely wouldn't have made it to Ugin if they would have been activating these Field of the Deads, right? This card's definitely the reason why they got to Ugin. In Twitch chat. So, if I would have drawn a black source in those 3 draws, I could have gone Lurrus into bring back this into claim kill their Ugin. But I didn't draw a black source in 3 cards because resource variance is fun, so we're just dead, right? Because they can just wrath my board every single turn now. Yeah, the creator of MTG Melee said they plan to hopefully have Runeterra support, but as soon as next year. So again, I'm actually kind of glad that we played those first 2 matches that way, because I really feel like those matches hammer home the theory craft of what the problem is for these decks, right? Like, there is a reason why mid-range decks have lost to big mana decks like Tron that don't have a Field of the Dead in sight in Modern for a long time. It's because of things like Ugin and Oblivion Stone and Karn and Wormcoil. Like that, the fundamental issues that these archetypes have with ramp in Modern translate very directly to this format. Hey, thanks for the 23 months, Red Mage Frank. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, hopefully they're a creature deck. If they're a creature deck, this hand is excellent. If they're not a creature deck, we probably just can't win. I completely agree with you, Flaming Swag. I think Rampant Growth is a much weaker card than Growth Spiral and Explore. Could not agree more. Hey, thanks, Frank. I appreciate it. We have all our cards. This hand is definitely a keep. I'm going to be very sad if they're not a creature deck, but I don't think my hand's a mulligan by any means. I think I'm just passing. They could be a flash deck and have, like, Tricky Dick. And I don't really want to run this into a flash creature. Yeah, playing mid-range or control decks in Magic, you're frequently just going to have games where you're hoping your interaction lines up. And this looks like a game where it's going to, right? So we're gonna get to play a game where my cuts have text, and hopefully this game goes well for us. The what's it called should have the cards on it. What's it called? Should have the cards on it. They've got Spirit. Yes, they do. They've got Spirit. How about you? The Stream Decker should have all the cards listed on it for you too. If the Cardboard Live isn't working. Or is Stream Decker the one that only has half? Stream Decker might actually only have half. No, it has both. I'm looking at it now. Little SD icon if you're on mobile should be there. Played against 3 field decks in a row yesterday playing this. Absolutely miserable playing against anything. Play my lands, you lose that deck. Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, like we've been talking about, I think Field of the Dead just gets an incredibly bad rap in this format. I think the people that are upset about Field of the Dead are also going to be upset about the thing that replaces Field of the Dead. Oh gosh! Oh gosh, if I would have played this, I could have played around that, right? It's a punt. It's a huge punt. This would have been 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, and I was going to shock that in regardless. Yep. It's a big deal. We might be able to win here because we've gone wide, but it's definitely a big mistake. Ugin and Ulamog. Yeah, okay, good. We're on the same page then. Big agree. Big agree that the actual problems are Ugin and Ulamog. Hey, diddle diddle. $70K sample size, an untapped.gg. Has Sultai ramp with Ugin and Ulamog as highest win rate variance. Without them, they are much lower. That's an interesting metric. I always love when there's relevant data that backs up my experienced theory crafting. Because it's almost like, and bear with me now, I've spent a significant portion of time playing Magic the Gathering and have a strong theory in both mathematics and game theory. A strong background in both. The WotC data police are coming. Wee! Taking you today to jail. Remember that data assumes that the players were good. So, with significantly large sample sizes like that, Stasny, the balancing factor on having to assume players were good is that you can, generally speaking, make the assumption that the players playing each other were often of similar skill levels, and a ladder helps ensure that that's the case a lot of the time. So you don't have to assume that all the players were good. When you can assume that they were of similar skill levels is the assumption that you would want to be able to make a lot of the time. The most important piece of information I can give you is that data doesn't lie, but liars love data. Am I 1 point of damage short here? I think I'm 1 point of damage short. They're gonna diddle Lurrus. I'm gonna hit them down to 4, and then I can ribbons for 3. God, that's brutally close. Must have missed a point somewhere, right? The Thoughtseize was a point? Sure. Maybe I'm just not supposed to Thoughtseize and supposed to go to combat. Yeah, I can see that. So if I just go to enter, if I just enter combat, they make the same play and then we clean them out. Who is the sponsor for the TFT segment? TFT. Oh yeah, that's true. When they had the land for the Lofty Denial was definitely a big swing. It's a good thought as well. This is definitely an all Doomblades on deck matchup. I want all of my pieces of removal. When was the last time you played Underlords? About a decade ago? In the before times? Maybe I want to keep these so I have ways to kill my things. Arcanist seems slow. So long as the stream isn't muted, it does, Rexbox. You count as a viewer as long as it's not muted. Or if you mute it, don't mute it using the Twitch player. Right-click on the Chrome tab and mute the Chrome tab. I got my 210-day login reward on Raid last night, Tubos. I feel you. Seems very good. Discard spell into pressure. That one's gotta go. Does that work? That works, doesn't it? Sure, Nandris, that sounds great. Because the copied one resolves first, and the one you cast from your hand wins the game. I like it. Hey, thanks for the 18 months, Day6. Remember, you've got that Prime icon next to your name. If you don't use that elsewhere, every single month you get a free sub to someone on Twitch with that. Think of it as taking money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and giving it to someone to hear on Twitch. Even if you don't use it here, make sure you send that Prime sub somewhere every month. Lord knows Bezos doesn't need it. Alaro, thanks to 11 months, and Willem, thanks for the 31. Welcome back, folks. This can't block, so we have a free attack. You want me to haste the priest? I don't think so. I don't think I really want to trade my Young Pyromancer for a Shacklegeist here. So if I don't sub with my Prime, I'm subbing to Bezos. Yeah, basically. So, only... Wait, is that... What is the word on it for a second, son? The spell was cast from your hand, and you've cast another spell named Approach the Second Sun. Oh yeah, that doesn't work, does it? Because the copy doesn't count as casting. Yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah, it depends on you having cast something previously. So we're going to go ahead and ribbons here to generate an elemental token. Can you remand, approach the second sun, cast again to win the game? You can. You can. That was a good draw. Kefnet with approach works though. Maybe? I think he casts it. He gives you a copy to cast, right? Nope, that's the wrong one. God Eternal. The copy costs 2 less to cast. Yeah, God Eternal Keft it works. Because God Eternal Keft it, you're casting the other one. Yeah, I think this game's in garbage time. Everyone's just waiting to die. Yeah, I think I'd be okay with that, Andres. I think, God Eternal Keft it's a playable card in a post-Teferi world for sure. How is this deck bad? It's bad against Ugin and Ulamog. Mostly fine elsewhere, bad against Ugin and Ulamog. See if we can Thoughtseize on 1 to get Priest to resolve. It's a good draw. Sure. Yeah, Wander, I think the Harrowing Ash deck's super reasonable. Definitely fun as far as mid-range combo goes. Come on, Abrade. Come on, Abrade. Cut, Abrade, cut, Abrade. So, we're dead. I think we're dead. I'm gonna piss off all the people that are upset that I concede too early, who think that there's a chance we win this game. And I'm gonna concede now rather than waiting for them to attack me 4 more times. It's funny, instead of just removing their ability to comment on my YouTube channel right away like I often do, I had someone who posted complaining that I concede too early, and I was very polite back. I was just like, can you pick out a game or two where you feel I conceded too early and explain the permutation of plays that needed to happen for me to win that game? And believe it or not, I have just received crickets back as a response, so... Which is why I generally just don't humor them and just remove their ability to comment on my channel. I don't even think that's just a historic thing, Aradas. I think the pushed power level of Magic in general makes stumbling... The fire design theory has made stumbling in Magic more punishing than it previously was. Sure, but I mean, like, my intention in asking them to describe how we go about winning the game, is to highlight, was to have them highlight the absurdity of what would need to happen for us to actually be able to win from the position they're saying we conceded too early in. Okay, so I think the play here is Kroxa Use Priest in response to Kroxa's trigger. And then, like, we're gonna take a hit for a turn, but I can put Lurrus in my hand here, and the next turn I can go Lurrus, make a 5/5. I could also go Pyromancer into Stitcher Supplier here. I guess if I go Pyromancer into Stitcher Supplier here, I could actually escape Kroxa next turn. That's probably better, huh? Because it gives me board presence this turn, and it gives me a good play for next turn still. I think I like that. And we'll use Stitcher Supplier to chump block a 4-ball here. We'll go to 13. So this block ensures that I have plenty of food in the bin for Kroxa. They have Tournament Grounds in their deck. That makes me think that they're probably an Embercleave deck. I guess they could just be like kind of generic Knights as well. This is why we left Archfiend's Vessel in here. And I think we're solidly in garbage time at this point. Yeah, I agree, Moldylocks. It really just reinforces the point how many people don't understand when the game is actually over. And past that, like, a lot of people, the people that treat ladder matches the same way they treat tournament matches really miss the point. The comments to me from people that really showed some people got it were the folks that were like, well, whatever you stand to learn from playing out your game on the ladder where you're 1% to win, you're probably going to learn more if you instead start another game of Magic. Because, like, there should be a difference in how you approach learning and playing through tournament matches and how you approach playing and learning on the ladder. Because in a tournament, you need to wait till the next round starts to play more Magic anyways. So there's not really much incentive to concede unless you want to go get lunch, right? Whereas, like, on the ladder, you're giving up the ability to learn in a new situation for one where you're likely not going to learn anything while you draw dead. It's a trade-off. It's not just a give me. I think this is a kill all the things matchup again. The tournament grounds make me think maybe they have a night sub-theme, so perhaps I want this Witch's Vengeance. Yeah, it's funny. It reminds me of the one of the last SCG Opens I played, where I went 13-0 in the Swiss, and round 14 I conceded, and so it was like, well, why did you concede? I was like, because they needed a win to top 8, I didn't need a win to top 8, and I wanted to go eat. It was just like, I had a top 8 to play in 2 hours, I was going to play a top 8 on a full stomach. And then there is also the game theory aspect of the person I was conceding to put them into top 8 was a matchup that I thought was favorable for my deck. So, like, you get to, like, be a good person and, like, do a favor to someone else while also doing a favor for yourself and getting a lunch break. Like, it's just, like, really an all upside decision. was a good mill. This is why I boarded in the third Kroxa in this matchup. Obviously, Kroxa hammering their hand isn't very relevant, but Kroxa being a large body we can put into play early is super relevant in a matchup like this. Yeah, and like I mentioned when we started Plaid, I'm not super confident on all the details of the numbers this deck is playing. A lot of things are cards that I'm just trying out. I definitely could see for Kroxa just being correct in the main. I do agree that in many matchups, it's one of the big draws to playing this deck. Spankick, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So it's fine. We'll bottom the 2 cuts here, I think, and lead on Thoughtseize on 1. Depending on what they do. If they play a creature on 1, we will probably lead on Archfiend's Vessel. Oh, we go first? Yeah, probably Thoughtseize on 1. See some folks using the TFT command in chat. I'm doing a sponsored segment for Teamfight Tactics at the end of the stream today. If you're someone that enjoys my content, you want a really easy way to support it, stay through that segment. It's a payout based on how many viewers that I have while I stream it for the first hour. I played some Auto Battlers off stream and I actually planned to stream it for a little bit longer. Like my sponsored segment's for an hour, but I think we're doing an hour and a half for 2 hours with it. But the first hour, my viewer count nets me more dollar dues. Pistol Peter Russell, thank you for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Yeah, I agree, Pled. I think this deck, yeah, it's a bounty board post-Time Lord. I think this deck has a ton of really interesting permutations and decisions in it. It feels like a real Eternal deck in a lot of ways. How's Cut Ribbons been? It's been playable. If I would have sequenced slightly better, I would have won a game because of it. But I ended up mis-sequencing and punted. I would be surprised if some number of Cut to Ribbons wasn't optimal in this archetype. Feel like it does a lot of what you're interested in doing. They do not, Coons, thank goodness, so we'll be in the proper game category. This was probably the best draw in my deck. So I get to do this, draw 2 cards, and then make a 5/5 and attack with it. I think that's better than getting tokens with Pyromancer here. Would Mayhem Devil be better than Cut? Well, if you play Mayhem Devil, you can't play a companion. Yeah, looks like they could be some kind of Jund Field variation. They're playing a bunch of ramp. They could have blue still, but definitely Jund colors so far. Well, Blossom can't hit 0 mana tokens under most conditions. Yeah, this deck is refreshing in a lot of ways in that my game losses that don't involve Ugin, I generally could have made better decisions in. Sometimes the Ugin losses also have better decisions that could be made, but often not. But speaking of Ugin, this is probably an Ugin matchup. I'm going to bring in these Duresses. I'm going to bring in the extra Kroxa as a way to beat down. They might not be an Uro variation. I'm going to trim this claim for now. What's the calculation and Thoughtseize between taking their curve and taking their payoff in general? If you can't beat their payoff, take their payoff. It's often right to just take their payoff. Hey, Shiny Sadek, thanks for the 13 months. Yeah, and by the way, if you're someone that likes TFT, you should hang out during the segment and backseat gamer me in chat and help me figure it out. I played one game off stream yesterday, which is the only game that I've played of it. I definitely fumbled around a little bit, understanding all the mechanics. I played some other auto battlers, but not TFT specifically before. See, like, in an instance like this, I'm just going to take the Hour of Promise. And TFT's under a timer, so I will be suspending my normal give me justifications for why you're telling me what to do, and you'll be encouraged to just, like, shout what I'm supposed to be doing at me in real time. maybe we'll get on the scoreboard with a win. We'll be at the bottom of ranked, so it shouldn't be too difficult, hopefully. It can be like Twitch chat plays TFT for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay, so we'll put a stop on my main phase here. We'll go ahead and Croxa, and then in response to Croxa sacrificing himself, we'll Village Rites it. Now they do have this Clothis up here, which is a little worrisome. Sell all your units and buy the pretty ones. I mostly was just buying the champions that I recognized from Runeterra yesterday, which didn't work out particularly well. Alright, I've only got 3 cards in my bin at the moment. They've got 1 card left in their hand. I think I'm Pyromancering, and then I'm claiming Kroxa to take the last card out of their hand and go wide. Yeah, Oracle Mold Diodes, piece of card advantage here too. So this gives this haste. And again, just like the Field of the Dead ramp deck part of their deck, just like doesn't feel like a huge deal. It's the hoping Ugin doesn't show up and wrath my board that feels like a big deal. I suppose if they peel exactly a second Hour of Promise here, we could maybe be in trouble. Instead. Skyzos, thanks for the 14 months. Welcome back. Appreciate the Bezo bucks. Yeah, let's do 1 or 2 more with this. All the good. I think I missed it. Thanks for the poke. I appreciate the resub. Man, our hands have not been kind to us in this set. We have mulligan to 5, just like looking at no-landers and one-landers a lot. Get to go Thoughtseize into Dreadhorde Arcanist here. First time having this curve, which is nice. We'll get to play Pyromancer on 3 to flashback. Take Lightning Strike. Gain 1, kinda, because I played a Shockland to do it. Deal 4 to myself. Thoughtseize you. Handful of burn spells. Hey. For the love of God, vote this November. Get registered and make sure you find out how to cast your ballot so it gets counted. Vote early. Do it by mail, whatever. This is a real picture, chat. Welcome, welcome. Has a single photo encompassed all of 2020 more than this photo? Like, welcome to America. That is from California. California, for people who are unaware, is currently experiencing wildfires. And then, if you want to hear the most dystopian shit ever, one of the reasons why California is currently having a problem maintaining their wildfires is because normally California uses their prison population to fight wildfires, but their prison population currently is too sick with COVID to help. And I wish I was lying to you when I said that, but that is actual reality at the moment. There's just so much wrong with my country that is a true statement. It's all bad. They can't fight fires because yeah. Archfiend Vessel, like, has lifelink here at least, which is nice. I think I'm just taking this to my hand to start. Which, as a progressive who is having a hard time reconciling voting for Biden until I started digging into his policy pages, speaking of everything going on in California right now, Biden and Harris both have really reasonable positions when it comes to addressing climate change. They have reasonable positions on a number of things, but when addressing climate change specifically, they're very reasonable on. So, you know, vote. And to set a low bar, any position is more reasonable than the current Trump administration, which it isn't a big deal, / it's blown out of proportion, / it doesn't exist. Am I dead? Is this lethal? Never not lethal? I assume this is about to kill me. Feels Magic Man. CA resident here, currently not at home because it might be on fire. Along with the prison help we can't use, we have something like 1,200 extra fires reported this year compared to this time last year. Yep. Alright, lots of removal spells in. Cling in, because it gains me some life. 1 mana gain 3 sounds reasonable in a lot of situations. Is this a priest out matchup? I feel like this is probably a priest out matchup, huh? Because like that game showed, they kind of just pick us apart. Yeah, board in healing salve that has flashback. Sign me up. Let's cut 3 Thoughtseizes and bring in 3 Duress. How's this deck been so far? It's been kind of a rough set. We got beat up by Ugin a bunch, and then we've been struggling. We're struggling here against Burn at the moment. Claim can take their Thermal Alchemist. Yeah, but if I'm boarding out Priest, I don't have a ton of... If I'm boarding out Priest, I don't have a ton of ways to sacrifice their things when I claim them. And, like, just claiming their things for a turn isn't particularly meaningful or impactful. And keep this in bottom of Swamp. Hope we draw a red source and some other useful spells. This has lifelink at least. Okay, get to take that one at least. Alright, I guess I'm cantripping this. I would prefer to gain life with it, but really want to draw a spell. Or draw a land, sorry, and we did, thankfully. I know a lot of people have complained about not liking this board, but I love the sound design on it, and honestly, I like the animation too. It's definitely a little bit busy, but I enjoy it thoroughly. Oh, I fully expect my phone to be like hot potato if it has to run this game board. So we're gonna kill my Citrus Supplier and attack me for 4 here. No, that's all of them, good nuts. Like, you can play a discard spell and hope they don't draw it off the top, but everybody that's played against Tron for the last 10 years knows that that's not a real plan. Physicist, thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate your re-up and welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Pickle Bolas, thanks for the 16 months. Blade Tycon, speaking of, can you time up before you get your sword? You definitely can. Poke me when you get back. Thanks for the entire year. So we're taking another 5 here. We'll Bedevil the Cage. And then we'll get to Lurrus, make a 5/5. Then, like, maybe Cling to Dust can pull us across the finish line. We do. Our hand does have an incredible number of cards in it. I would love a 1 to 2 drop artifact that could make Planeswalkers summoning sick. That's actually a really sweet design. Good nuts. All the good nuts for Magic R&D, chat. That sounds sick. Oh, I knew that was there. But we have Spyglass. That name's a specific Planeswalker. That card had dirty digits. Yeah, it was trippy. So we're taking 5 here, and they're putting a 5/5 into play. I ought to be done with this one. This was a rough set today. I don't know. I think how playable this deck is probably directly dependent on how many Ugins and Ulamogs you expect to play against. I'd be happy to fit in a dealer's choice if you wanted to cut the line for something. I'd probably do blue-red wizards. That deck was fun last time. As far as this goes, I don't know. I feel like after playing that set today, my buddy, where is it? One of my buddies posted me this. Let me pull it up here. One of my buddies sent me this that he had been working on that I'm kind of into. It's a little bit less graveyard centric and plays Knight of the Ebon Legion. I kind of like it. I don't know that I like cutting all the Stitcher suppliers necessarily if you're on for Kroxa, but the idea of playing Knight, just like good quality 1-drop, could be okay. I don't know. That whole set with the red-black deck was really, really disheartening, though. Like, these archetypes just aren't good against Ugin. I don't know if there's really anything super meaningful you could do to change that. Someone mentioned Sorceress Spyglass, and like maybe that could be an appropriate card to like have. The problem is that like there's going to be plenty of games where they don't draw Ugin and you draw Sorcerer Spyglass, and then it literally just like doesn't have a text box against their deck, and you're like one for zeroing yourself. So I don't know. I think this deck's really good if you're not playing against Field of the Dead and Ugin specifically. I actually think against the card Field of the Dead, you're pretty reasonable because of your Archfiend vessels that fly over the top. Like, this card gives you a good way to beat Field. The problem is you can't beat a sweeper that exiles your stuff and sits around to exile your stuff every turn. So, like, this deck has the staying power and recursive threats to beat sweepers that aren't exiling and that aren't repeating every turn, but Ugin just, like, hits you from an axis you just can't really recover from. And even just like playing, removal like Bedevil for Ugin means that your board's gone, and then you took another turn to Bedevil it, and then by that point, you're so far behind you just can't catch back up a lot of the time. All right, I saw someone asking about elves. So, if for people that are newer to the stream, all the decks that are listed in the stream title are the decks we intend to play today and the order in which we intend to play them. I'm going to hit a quick ad roll while I get everything set up and flipped over. And when I get back, we're going to play a little bit of a meme. We're going to treasure hunt Zenith Flare people. So, be back in just a few. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.